Welcome to Taurus season. We made it through that Aries. Wow, all those Aries. I mean, just so much Aries energy in the Aries season. We haven't had an Aries season like that with that many planets in Aries since the 1800s. So it was really fiery. And it's funny too because I kept saying, like, I have been struggling with balance and like my limitations, and realizing where those are at more, just so much since February 20th. And I just realized when I was looking at the transits and stuff, there was actually something astrologically that happened on the 20th of February, and that was that there was a conjunction of Saturn, which is the planet that has to do with structure and discipline, and Neptune, which has to do with dreams or delusions, depending on how grounded and balanced you are. And so for me, the way that played out, because I have a Jupiter in Aries in a high degree, and we had a lot of Aries. We were coming into a lot of Aries energy. For me, and mine is conjunct my Chiron, which has to do with things, lessons that we've learned during childhood, and how when we advance and when we evolve and when we grow, those are the things that we can help with other people with if we choose to. So, well, the way this played out for me was a lot to do with my body. Aries can have a lot to do with the body and physical exertion, and me finding my balance and my limitations, realizing, like, I'm not a pro athlete nationwide anymore like I once was. Like, I'm not swimming and winning races across the country. I'm not a dancer like I once was. I'm not dancing multiple hours a night, multiple times a week. Like, that's not who I am anymore. But seeing where I am now versus where I have been, and if I want to go somewhere, what balance is required to get to wherever that is, whether I want to proceed forward to go back and do the things that I used to do, or whether it's I want to move forward into a whole different reality. Regardless, my lesson was pacing. For different folks, the lessons might have been different things. So some of you, like, maybe your lesson was simply just feeling better and more energized in general. So since February 20th, you might have noticed, like, wow, I feel like I'm just feeling better and better and better. Other folks might have had some other lessons. A lot of us maybe weren't even thinking, about what it is that we want to bring in or learn, or what it is that we want to master. And so in those situations, you can always look back and be like, you can look back on those days, you can look back on what was going on. If you're experiencing a lot of exhaustion, your chances are you're probably working on that balance of Saturn, which is structure, versus dreams. So how do you bring the magic into reality? How do you bring your dreams to life? And for others, it might not be just bringing your dreams to life. It might be something a little less than that. It might be, how do I structure doing too many drugs? How do I structure that and not do as many and not get so delulu when I'm like doing so many? Where's the line? Where do we draw the line? So it can play out in different ways. The Neptunian energy, which can rule drugs, or it can rule dreams, or it can rule delusions, and the Saturnian energy, which can rule restrictions and structure. So it's really interesting coming out of that, and then going into all of that Aries energy that we just got through on April 20th. So I felt the shift. I don't know about you, but I definitely feel so much better now being out of all that Aries energy. It was really transiting some pretty high degrees, some like 22 degrees in my chart. So it feels really like kind of a relief for me to be out of that Aries energy. But welcome to Taurus season. So Taurus season is all about like, this is where food starts to taste good again. Food tastes good, touch feels good, massage is great, hugs and snuggles, and taking our sweet A time. Like, my soul manifested a mother that was Taurus. My soul chose like my mother to be Taurus, a Taurus person to birth me and teach me the lessons that Taurus has to teach. And one of the things that I learned from my mother is to take your sweet A time. But it really took me a lifetime to like learn that, because you can't be conscientious. You know, my mother would take her time. I mean, she would take her time. Like, she loved her makeup, and she would just take her time getting ready, and nobody would rush her. And I've always been more like, let's get in and out of the store. Like, let's not spend a lot of time in the store. Like, let's not spend a lot of time trying to get out the door. Let's just go. And like, I don't spend time putting on makeup, or like, I just don't. Like, I do it real quick with my finger and like get on with it. Like, finger paint my face and move on, if I even do anything at all like that. But there is like, you know, now that I've been alive like a half a century, I'm like, yeah, you know, you can't be conscientious all the time about everybody else and like their rhythm. Like, it does pay to like move to your own rhythm, and sometimes your own rhythm might not be as fast as everybody else's. Sometimes you don't want to move as fast as like 7 or 8 planets in Aries. Sometimes you don't want to move as fast as quick fire, forest fire, you know, like sometimes it's good to just slow it down. So anyway, this little being right here, my lovely baby, wants to be held. But yeah, Taurus season is such a good time for like holds and cuddles and good food. And I think a lot of us, I do sense that a lot of us, not just myself, since February 20th, we've been working on balance. I know I have. And, you know, a lot of us are working on brand new things, brand new projects, starting a new life, you know, new living and stuff like that. And balance is such a, like, for me, it's been just such a journey, like learning, you know, balance is always changing. It's about like constantly moving forward, but how do you do that? You know, the way you stay on a 2-wheel bicycle is like, you just keep moving forward, like, right? That's how you stay balanced. But like, how? Because when you're changing and the world's changing and all of that jazz, you know, like what might have brought catharsis or healing or refreshment or rejuvenation in the past, like dancing a few hours and just shaking it out. You know, you're in a couple of rear-ended car accidents where you've been rear-ended as a passenger, and then the next thing you know, you're like, oh, I can't move my body like that, like I used to. You know, and things can change, and it's just like, then you find, oh, well, painting can work really well for me, or meditation can work really well for me, or sometimes just more naps. Naps are just so healthy, you know. Someone that's close to me has a sister, and she makes her kids and herself, like the whole family, like the grandpa lives there too, and like everybody takes a nap. Like, that's just something that they all do every afternoon. Like, they have a 1-hour downtime. That's beautiful. Like, I think like a lot of us have been learning that since February, but it doesn't stop right now. So that conjunction, I know, I'm going to put you down. I know you don't want to put down. So that conjunction with Saturn and Neptune, it's just starting to separate a little bit. So the intensity of like, this is the lesson you said you wanted to learn and we're going to teach it to you, you know, like kind of circumstances and stuff, like that's going to ease up a little bit too. Kind of like moving into Taurus energy is like, feels like it's eased up a little bit coming out of all that areas. So, but it's still there, like, you know, and I think balance is it's a huge thing. It's a year of the horse. Like, horses like run like the wind, and if you want to be able to walk after being on a horse, you got to pace yourself. You can't just like get on a horse after not being on a horse for like ever, and then like expect to just like ride off into the sunset, full on, and like, you know, you gotta like pace yourself. You gotta like, otherwise you're not gonna be able to walk. So, and that was kind of like how I was, like, really overdid it in some ways, and had to learn my limits and all that jazz. So pacing is like a big thing, and something I'm still learning. But we've all got different things, you know. Like, for a lot of us, it might be pacing because it's the year of the horse, but some of us it might be other things. So your truth will come out, you know, whether you're in touch with it now or you want to get in touch with it later. This Scorpio, so this full moon that's coming up on May 1st is in Scorpio. Scorpio has to do, it's the opposite of Taurus. So we're on this axis of Taurus and Scorpio, like a teeter-totter. So the Earth is in the ego development of Scorpio. Scorpio is really like a lot about, it's the life-death-life cycle. It's about protection. It's about it's very in touch with scarcity, and that can get you, you're spinning out about ideas of scarcity or feelings of lack or feeling of scarcity. If you spin out on that, it can really manifest a lot more of it. And I have a Scorpio North Node, so this is another thing that I'm constantly learning. So for me, what I like to do with the scarcity mindset that can come up during Scorpionic times, which is going to be this full moon coming up in Scorpio, what I like to do with that is I really like to think of it as what's the absolute like necessity. And this is great, this exercise, like what would you take with you if you were going to be on an island? You know, what are the three things? Like the priorities. So someone recently was saying, like, there's no such thing as priorities. There's a priority. So, and then everything else that comes after is like not the priority, but it could be like one of the top, you know, near the priority. And I like to think of it that way. What are the top three things? Like, what is it that really gets you going? What is it that makes you feel good? If Taurus is like the cow that was being worshipped in the desert, and is still considered a deity to worship, if Taurus is the cow, where you don't give away the ice cream if you want them to pay for the milk, you know, if Taurus is about our value, if it's about our how we value ourselves, if Taurus is about self-worth and self-value and the material, like what we're here on earth to like experience as earthlings, then what are those things that matter most to you? And really just deciding, like, for the next 30 days, or at least the next 15 days, because after the full moon, the light from the moon becomes less and less for 15 days after the full moon. So it's a great time to just kind of like, okay, I'm going to put this, you know, I'm going to organize this on a shelf and get it out of the way. I'm going to, you know, donate this. I'm going to get this out of here. I'm not going to think about that. That's not going to serve me. So like, what are those kinds of things that you're going to like kind of like set aside for the next 15 days after May 1st? In order to fully be present with what it is that you're bringing with you on that island. You know, it's kind of like when you go on vacation, what are you leaving behind? You're leaving behind your work. You're leaving behind your daily chores. You're leaving behind, it depends, like on who you are. And hopefully it's like a teeter-totter, because that tends to work really well. So if you're leaving behind your work and your daily chores, then you are resetting yourself in another area of your life that you want to. So maybe it's your physical fitness, or maybe it's your reading, like your intellect, and your research in your mind. Or maybe it's less media, who knows. But whatever it is, it's not really like Lent full on, like it's not as intense as that, but it's like definitely Scorpio. I feel like the way to harness the scorpionic energy, because Scorpio will show you like what loss is. It'll show you what it means to lose things and to have to let go of things. And why not harness that energy and do it for ourselves before we end up in a situation where, like that's happening. So, yeah, it's a great time to like be thinking about that, and doing it with the intention of just being more present with what it is that we enjoy being on planet Earth for as Earthlings. What else can I tell you about this full moon? So we're entering Taurus season. The first 15 days of Taurus season will be in a waning moon period, so it's a great time to like let go of some things. Uranus. I don't know why I can never say Uranus. Well, it's in Gemini now. I can't say it without laughing. It's so funny to me. That joke never gets old in my mind. Gemini. So Gemini, I'm not laughing at Gemini. Maybe, on the inside I'm not laughing at Gemini. So Uranus and Gemini, this is a huge shift. Uranus has been in Taurus for a long time. I feel like Uranus and Gemini is way more unexpected. Uranus is all about unexpected stuff. It's this like, it's these shifts, these moments that can change your life forever. So Uranus and Taurus was like, I'm sure for Earth signs it was pretty intense. There was probably a lot of health things that came up, and that's how it's been up until now. But now it's like, for me, I feel like Uranus and Gemini could be like, oh my god, this, like, the character Chicken Little? The sky is falling, the sky is falling. Like, this is little character. I was assigned that character for like a hot minute in drama class when I was a teenager. And then I got given something else and somebody else was given that. But, yeah, so I guess Chicken Little is like this little character that like runs around with like an umbrella and it's like, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. It could be like that sort of feeling sometimes. There's going to just be a lot that's happening with Gemini rules technology, it rules communication, it can rule music and dance, which is great for Taurus season. Yeah, so I'm just going to tell you, like, think about, like, what are the top 3 things that just make you feel really good? For me, it's like, I love being around beauty that feels like a sanctuary. So I love like creating or being in environments that were created to make me feel like I'm in a sanctuary. So like every corner of every place that I ever lived, I've always made it to be like feeling like it's a sanctuary, like a magical, peaceful, soothing sanctuary. That's been like as early as I can remember. I've been doing that, like, since I was like, I can remember back as far as being 2 years old. And I remember at 3, my mother having me pick out my own, like, carpeting. And, like, that's when the interior design started. But, so that's, like, a big thing for me. Like, I love, and my I highly recommend doing your birth charts, your draconian chart. I'm not saying draconian right, but you're basically Draconin chart. Do that too. The Draconian chart is like your soul. and what your soul is doing. So your natal chart's your personality. It's how we interact with everybody, and it's how we are, like, in regards to other people and the world around us. But underneath all that, we have, like, when our soul is in our body, which is, you know, hopefully most of the time while we're on the planet, if we're not traumatized, like, it's in there, you know. It's also outside at the same time, but the draconian chart is our soul. And, like, mine is, like, a lot of Cancer, like triple, quadruple Cancer, and a little bit of Gemini in there too. So, like, Cancer likes security and likes to create, like, atmospheres and places where people can, like, feel like they are nurtured and feel like they are surrounded by beauty and feel like they can breathe and grow and all that jazz. And that's beautiful. Like, that's probably why I feel so comfortable during Taurus season, because Taurus really appreciates beauty too. So, like, for me, that's, like, my number one thing. What's your number one thing? It could be programming or designing things, or it could be, you know, really, what is it? Or that, you know, it's not necessarily something that everybody sees. Like, a lot of people that would meet me out in the world, they wouldn't know, like, that, like, if you enter my car, everything's organized and you've got everything you need in the passenger seat. Like, they wouldn't know that, like, just seeing me out on the street or in public. Like, they wouldn't know that if they come over to my house that there's a tea station in various rooms. Like, if it's a sitting room, there's chances are there's, like, a tea station, and, like, they wouldn't know that, you know. So, like, that's your soul, right? So, like, there's the soul aspects of you, and then there's, like, the personality aspects of you. What does your soul love, you know? Do your draconian chart, and maybe it'll, like, give you some clarity, and you'll realize, like, oh yeah, I see that about me, whatever that is. But yeah, what are those top 3 things that would, like, really make you feel good about you? Another thing I learned from that chart was, like, not only do I have, like, that heavy influence of Cancerian type vibes where I want people to feel like they can be fully psychic if they need to be. I want people to feel like they can feel nurtured and soothed in sanctuaries, beautiful spaces that are soothing. But then I also need, like, a little lightheartedness. So, like, I need the depth, but I need, like, lightheartedness too. I have, like, Gemini in there too. So, what is it for you? Like, what are your top 3 things? And I would say these first 15 days, work on getting rid of any obstacles that you have that are in the way of that. You know, maybe you really like a peaceful atmosphere, but maybe, like, I don't know, maybe there's some kind of obstacle that's keeping you from having that. Or maybe you really like, dressing up and feeling attractive and dressed up and being creative with dress up, or dance, or writing, or whatever it is. Like, whatever it is that, like, you really love, like, deep down underneath it all. And maybe there's some things that have kept you from being able to have that. So look at that. Or maybe there's been some things that keep you from really appreciating that. I'm like, look at that. What's that all about? And try to, like, for the next 15 days, be like, okay, like, let me clear out any of those obstacles. So for me, like, if my number one thing, let's say, according to my soul, like, the more hidden part of me, that might be more embarrassing to, like, admit. Like, if a big part of my soul is that I like to have environment that feels like nurturing and like a sanctuary, but then I notice, like, let's say, 15 days after the full moon, as the moon is waning and the moon is becoming darker, that's the time to get rid of things, right? I notice, like, oh, well, maybe I haven't really been indulging in my space. Why not? And then I might notice, oh, okay, well, I like Taurus energy a lot. Part of Taurus energy is pack ratting. Like, so I might have too much stuff. I might have so much clutter that I just need to get rid of some stuff so that I can feel like I can breathe again, kind of thing. Or whatever it might be. Like, and this is, like, super easy, shallow, like, stuff. Like, But, you know, how would it apply to you, and what it is that like really moves your soul while you're on this planet? Because your soul is like helping you through the density of like being on Earth, right? And your soul is like there, like guiding you through it all and stuff. So what else can I say? So yeah, Uranus and Gemini. Just be aware that like communication can flip and change. For everything that you're hearing, just like realize that there's that which you are not hearing, and that is equally so. Gemini is a sign of duality, and Uranus and Gemini will show us the duality in situations faster than you could flip a coin, like just so fast, like, and act accordingly, you know. Be prepared. Like, Taurus is about value and self-worth, and we're in Taurus season, and like Gemini, it can be, you know, Gemini can, let's say you're in a situation where your gifts are being valued and you know your worth, and then all of a sudden something flips and you see like, wait a minute, I am being devalued, and I am being devalued to the point where it makes me have no way, shape, or form but to internalize that. And so what comes next? How do you get yourself back into that sense of value? Do you withdraw the access, or do you make the price higher, or do you what do you do? Like, and some of us do this just naturally. It's just our natural flow, and it's intuitive, and we've been practicing this stuff for a while. But this is a great season to like become aware of it, whether we do it naturally or not, and to like take a look at that. Like, you deserve to be valued. You deserve to be valuing yourself. You deserve to be valued by others, and for what your soul really loves and what your soul cares about more than just your personality. And if there's something that, you know, if there's some way that unconsciously like devaluing is happening, whether it's from other people or ourselves, it's all the same. This is, you know, we have more control and more capabilities over our lives than we might give ourselves credit for. So this is a time to just slow down a little bit and think about it. Like, what would help me feel more clear in regards to what it is that I'm here and what my purpose is for, to get from point A to point B. So that kind of stuff. And let's see, what else can I say? It's a big beautiful moon in the sky, but I don't think you can see it behind these little lights. But enjoy that full moon. It's nice and watery. We're going into, like, after all that fire, we're going into water and earth. It feels so good for me anyway. I think that's it. That's all that's really coming to me right now. Yeah. Yeah, Taurus energy. You know, don't forget, like, self-talk, cuddles, pets with your loved ones, like your pets, like these guys. Don't forget, like, the touch and all of that stuff. It's so good for you. The oxytocin buildup is so good for you. Let's see. That's very Taurus. Good food. What else is really good for you during Taurus season? Take your time. You know, this is like a great time to slow down and take your time and realize, like, the world's not going to end, and people can't hate you forever if you don't, like, prioritize their time and their timeline over your own. Sometimes sometimes everybody's timeline is not exactly the same. You know, be late if you have to be late sometimes. Like, it's not the end of the world. Like, I know, like, some of us have Midwestern work ethic values and all this jazz, and there are people that will judge for being late, but if it really is going to make a difference between, you know, your day, if it's going to help you be more present and loving and kind in the day, and it involves being a little late, by all means, like, take your time. This is the time to take your time. Yeah, especially during this fire, you know, it's a year fire horse, and coming out of all this fire energy and the Uranus and Gemini, it's like, slow down. It's better to be safe than sorry, kind of thing. And just take it as it goes, okay? So enjoy your Taurus season. I'll see you on the other side.